Well, now for our next interview, we turn to Tom, and Tom is in the Tel Aviv area. Tom, welcome to the Tov Podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for joining us despite the very difficult circumstances in the land of Israel. I wonder if you could share for our listeners who may not be familiar with what the Lord has you doing. We know that you're in the Tel Aviv area, but what does your ministry look like there?
Well, we serve in a congregation here, and I'm one of the elders. And also we work with rescue work in the south of the country. I'm on the board of the rescue mission, and I serve in that capacity as well. And I also encourage people that are planting other congregations.
How long have you been serving with Life in Messiah, Tom?
Wow. Since 1976, I believe.
Yeah, we're grateful for the work that you're doing there. Can you give the Tov Podcast listeners a sense of what's the national sentiment right now in Israel? What's going on? I know that Israel has been very divided as of recent due to different political views, but what's the sentiment now?
Yes, there has been a lot of division recently, but this has kind of really unified the people, and people are very sad on the one hand, but also very determined that it won't happen again, that they'll do everything necessary. And so you have people coming from overseas to volunteer, coming back to the land. You have people giving all kinds of aid to bases nearby them when they ask for water or bread or whatever they need, and including believers, giving things to the soldiers, and all these people giving blood. In fact, they said, "You've given so much blood, stop giving blood. We have enough." So it's just, this has really unified the people to come together during this time, and so that's really brought everybody together.
I know that President Herzog recently said that there has not been a day in which this many Jewish people have been murdered since the Holocaust. And obviously our hearts break over that news. And even now, I have the news pulled up on my computer screen that's saying during the Kfar Aza massacre, there were scores that were burned alive and babies beheaded. Can you talk a little bit, Tom, about the spiritual nature of what's happening here in this conflict? Is there a spiritual element to it, and how can people best try to understand that?
Yeah, what's happening here really is part of the enemy's plan to destroy Israel and to do everything against them. And, he's using the religious fervor of those people. And there's definitely a satanic element there. People can do such things without any mercy for babies. I mean, there's definitely a satanic agent work going on there. So it's definitely something we need to pray that God will protect and strengthen Israel, and especially that they will turn to Him at this time. It'll be a time of turning to the Lord and seeking Him in truth, and that God would reveal the Messiah to them. That's really our prayer, that they might receive eternal salvation.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we're about at Life in Messiah, is sharing the gospel message with all who will listen. And do you think that it's possible that the difficulties, the tragic situation here has created within people in Israel a sense that they need to be turning to the Lord?
Well, there is some of that awareness, even our neighbors, that they're more open to spiritual things, and realizing dependence, that they need God's help. So there is definitely something there. We just have to pray that God will, increase it, and that give them that hunger for Him, that they'll seek Him until they find Him in the Messiah. So that's really what we need to see. But it's just God's protection, because if you think about it, on Saturday we had the sirens going off like every few minutes, and it had never been that concentrated, I would say, in our area. We're not right next to Gaza. We're up near Tel Aviv. So we kept going in over and over and over, and people said, well, what's going on? This is really unusual. Even when we had the other, what we'd call wars, they were really more like skirmishes or something like that. Mm-hmm. We didn't have that kind of concentrated missile fire in our area. So, people realize that they really do need to depend on God for help, but whether or not they will turn to the Lord, really turn to the Lord is another question. We have to really pray that it will really cause a turning to God, really, from the heart.
Yeah.
But I was talking to one of my neighbors, and he's become like religious recently, and then he kind of went back. But he was saying, "Yeah, I know God has some good purpose in this, and He wants to purify us." And then we both quoted, created me a clean heart, oh God. He's saying the same thing in Hebrew with me at the same time. We're saying, the verse, Yeah. So there is that awareness. I think God is starting to work in the people and give them that awareness that they need that cleansing, that, a new heart. And He's going to use all these things to bring them back to Him. So
now this is personal for your family.
Yeah.
Can you share with our listeners what's happened in your family just since this conflict has broken out?
We have 8 children. 5 of our children have served in the Israeli army. The girls do 2 years and the boys do 3 years approximately. And so then the men, then they are in the reserves automatically until I forget what age it's like 45 or something like that. But so they called 2 of our sons back into service, which is unusual because they usually call you for about a month out of a year, just to go and be with your unit, just so they have, to build up the army. It's in parts like that. But they call them both into active service and active duty now. So they're both serving. And one of them is a medic. Our youngest son, Johnny, he's a medic. And he would be down there with the soldiers in the middle of the area where all the things happened, treating the wounded. To pray for our 2 sons, Simon and Johnny, that are serving.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a specific prayer request that Tov listeners can bring before the Lord, is protection for Tom's 2 sons who have been called up, but also for the many other believers throughout the land. For our listeners out there, not only are we encouraging you to pray, but I know that along with prayer, oftentimes people like to give something practically, whether it's their time or resources or something else. And at Life in Messiah, we've set up a special Israel Relief Fund. And if you go to our website at lifeinmessiah.org, you'll see a bar at the top of the page, and you can click on that bar, and it takes you to our Israel Relief Fund page. And if you want to have a direct impact on our staff and workers in Israel for the months and even years to come, all gifts that are given through that link will go directly to support our staff and workers in Israel. And so again, that's over at lifeinmessiah.org. If you want to make a financial contribution to help Life in Messiah staff and workers out, that's the place to do it. We'll make sure that those funds go directly to need in the land of Israel. Tom, thank you so much for joining us for the Tov podcast. Thanks for the work you're doing. Our prayers are with you and your family.
Thank you so much, and the Lord bless you all.